This is the disturbing internet predator Iceberg. Tier 1, Dr. Disrespect.
How we... You know how we run things here.
That is the moment Dr. Disrespect realized his career was over. If you don't know him, Dr. Disrespect was one of the biggest streamers in gaming. He built a massive audience on Twitch with his loud, cocky persona. And for years, he was one of the faces of the platform. Then, in 2020, Twitch banned him out of nowhere with zero public explanation. After the ban, he just packed up and moved to YouTube, where he managed to grow his audience to around 4 million subscribers. For the next 4 years, the real reason behind the Twitch ban stayed one of the biggest mysteries online. He kept playing the victim card, acting like Twitch had wronged him, and even challenged them publicly to come clean about why they did it, which was a bold move considering what actually happened. In 2024, a former Twitch employee shared a tweet that got people talking. It said, he got banned because he got caught texting a minor in the then existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. The powers that be could be read in plain text. Case closed, gang. The tweet didn't name names. It was vague enough to apply to just about anyone, and Dr. Disrespect could have stayed quiet and let it fade out. Instead, he jumped into the replies, and that's when people started connecting the dots almost immediately. Jake, seriously, I get it, it's a hot topic, but this has been settled. No wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they paid out the whole contract. Shortly after that, he posted a longer tweet where he actually confirmed the reason for the ban himself. He admitted that back in 2017, he'd been using Twitch Whispers to message a minor. Apparently, he forgot that when you use a company's messaging app, the company can in fact read your messages. And that's exactly what got him banned 3 years later. To make things even worse, online detectives dug up evidence suggesting he'd allegedly planned to meet up with that minor at TwitchCon 2017. From that point, everything Dr. Disrespect had built started falling apart like a pack of cards. A game studio he co-founded immediately cut ties with him, and YouTube demonetized his channel. In one last attempt at damage control, he posted a statement admitting he had messaged a minor, then later tried to edit it to say individual instead. As you can imagine, that didn't do him any favors. James Charles. In February 2021, this video broke the internet.
Okay, so trigger warning, I will be talking about grooming and James Charles, so if you get triggered by any of those, keep scrolling, but if not, watch this video, please.
The boy behind the camera was only 16 years old at the time. And just in case you do have a life, and aren't chronically online like the rest of us who had nothing better to do post-COVID, he was talking about the James Charles. Back then, James Charles was one of the biggest beauty creators on the planet. He built his career from the ground up and went from doing makeup in a small town to racking up 25 million YouTube subscribers and becoming the first ever male CoverGirl ambassador. To cut the really long list of his achievements short, he was a pretty big deal. Until this happened. In the video, the 16-year-old accused James of grooming. He made claims like this.
He proceeded to send me explicit pictures of his body.
And he had the receipts to prove it. The claims spread quickly, and James started facing backlash for what he'd done. Instead of addressing it directly, he managed to make the situation worse. He denied everything and put out a statement saying the kid had lied about his age and that he believed he was 18. That might have worked as a defense if there weren't screenshots proving otherwise. But there were, and everyone had already seen them. So the statement ended up doing the exact opposite of what James was hoping for. Instead of calming things down, it opened the floodgates. More underage boys started coming forward and sharing their own experiences. With the situation spiraling, James came back in April, about 2 months after the first statement, with an apology. This time, he admitted to having inappropriate conversations with 2 different 16-year-old boys. By then, the damage was already done. If anything, the admission just confirmed what people had been saying, and more accusers started coming forward after that. At that point, the fallout was inevitable. Brands dropped him almost overnight. YouTube demonetized his channel, and the money dried up. Within a few months, he went from being at the top of the makeup world to being completely canceled. Ava Kris Tyson. Back in July 2024, Twitter collectively lost its mind over a controversy inside the MrBeast crew that nearly brought the whole empire crashing down. At the center of it was Ava Kris Tyson. If you've been watching MrBeast since the early days in 2012, you probably knew her as Kris Tyson before she came out as a trans woman in 2023. She was one of the very first people on the team.
Jubilation! No, mine is the electro shuffle, but there's no way I could do it. It's like...
And she helped come up with the challenge ideas while bringing energy to the videos.
All right, friends that I drag around every video, let's get hype!
She was tight with Jimmy, and millions of viewers knew her face. Because of her position on one of the biggest channels on the planet, her transition made her one of the most visible trans people online almost overnight. But that visibility didn't last long before it turned into something very different. A batch of her old private messages leaked, and they became the biggest scandal MrBeast's channel had ever dealt with. The leaked messages showed conversations between Ava, who was around 20 at the time, and still going by Kris, and a 13-year-old fan named Lava GS. The chats were full of edgy NSFW jokes that crossed the line for a lot of people. In one instance, Lava GS received a Snapchat video from Ava standing under an American flag with the caption, "Coming for America." Not exactly the kind of patriotic content you'd expect in July. There was also a Twitter exchange where Ava was trying to get more subscribers on her Patreon. She made a post promising to release her nudes if she got one more subscriber. Lava GS responded with, "I'm your first Patreon big boy." Ava replied with, "But not $5? Pathetic. JK," and a kissing emoji. Then she followed up saying she just posted some fire nudes for him and asked him not to share. All of these interactions eventually led to the two of them meeting up in person in 2020, when Lava was still only 16. At first, Lava defended her and said the whole thing was just jokes between friends. But that initial leak gave other people the confidence to speak up. A former Discord moderator came forward with even more evidence. He'd been about 14 when he helped run Ava's server, and he had logs from thousands of messages dating from 2016 to 2019. Those logs painted a disturbing picture. They showed Ava making graphic, explicit jokes, discussing hentai, sharing links to hardcore sites, and having vulgar conversations about private topics. A big chunk of the chats revolved around Shadman, a super controversial artist who's known for creating adult drawings of minors, incest content, and explicit art based on real children. Ava had been sharing his work, buying and commissioning pieces, hanging them in her room, and even asking him to draw more. With all of that stacking up against her, Ava posted a short and vague apology on X. She didn't address anything specific, didn't mention the links, the chats, or any of the details. She just stepped away from MrBeast and went quiet on social media. Later on, MrBeast hired an independent law firm to investigate in late 2024. They cleared Ava of the main grooming allegations and said those claims had no real basis. But they did find cases of workplace harassment inside the team. By 2024, after the dust had settled, Ava started posting again on Instagram, mostly family content and funny videos, which is a much safer use of the internet. Tier 2. AnimeBromii. In March 2022, a 40-page Google Doc packed with screenshots, chat logs, and victim stories started making the rounds on Twitter and quickly blew up. It focused on the creators behind the AnimeBromii YouTube channel. The channel was run by twin brothers Angel and Isaac Hernandez, who'd started it back in 2011. They made their name in the PlushTuber community, a corner of YouTube where creators use stuffed toys of characters like Mario and Sonic to act out skits with voice acting, kind of like puppet shows for gaming fans. Their videos pulled in a huge teen audience, and the channel grew to hundreds of thousands of subscribers. But behind all that wholesome puppet energy, both brothers were secretly targeting underage fans through private messages on platforms like DeviantArt and Skype. According to a 2012 testimony, when Angel was around 21 or 22, he used the name Angemon on DeviantArt and started chatting with a 14-year-old girl there. It started as a normal fan interaction, but over time, Angel kept pushing her toward a private chat room called Chatsy, where he turned the whole thing into a relationship. Once he had her there, the gifts started coming. Angel would send her things and then ask for photos in return. He preferred Skype calls over texting because it gave him the chance to expose himself on camera, and sometimes he'd do it while cosplaying as her comfort characters. When the girl tried to pull away, Angel went through every manipulation tactic in the book. He started with roleplay chats to try and charm her back. When that didn't work, he guilt-tripped her, saying she'd wasted 5 years of his time and made his family sad. And when the guilt ran out of steam, he resorted to threatening to end his own life. While that was happening, his twin brother Isaac was running his own operation. He connected with a fan known as Victim E on the Wii U around 2012, and later moved the conversations to Facebook. By 2015, when the girl was about 13 and Isaac was 24, things had escalated. He started sending her explicit messages, told her he liked her, and said he wanted to date her in secret. He even offered to buy her a Nintendo Switch if she agreed. She said no multiple times. Isaac didn't take the rejection well. He flipped and started acting like a rejected boyfriend. He told her how lucky she was to even be talking to someone like him and kept pushing her to respond. The private messages were bad enough on their own, but it didn't stop there. The brothers openly displayed that same disturbing behavior in their content. Both of them made videos where they pretended to date anime characters who were clearly teenagers. Angel did skits where he called Haruhi Suzumiya, a 15 to 16-year-old character, his girlfriend on camera. Isaac did the same with Sonya the Hedgehog, who's 17 in the games. When the doc went viral, more victims came forward. Drama YouTubers picked the story up, and the backlash got worse. After that, the brothers laid low and made fewer posts on their channel. About 5 months later, Isaac came back with a vague apology video, where he admitted to having inappropriate conversations with a minor when he was 22. Most of the video was him talking about how the scandal wrecked his reputation, relationships, and mental health, while also blaming internet fame for changing him. Near the end, he made this announcement.
I want to do better than that. And I thought this is better for everyone. I'm not quitting ABM. I'm retired.
Apparently, he felt happier living away from online fame, and that's what informed his decision. The channel is still up on YouTube today with around 324,000 subscribers. There have been no new uploads since this scandal, but it hasn't been taken down either. Austin Jones. Imagine you're 14, and your favorite YouTuber just slid into your Facebook messages. He's chatting with you directly, making you feel like you're his biggest fan in the world. Then, slowly, he starts steering things in a weird direction. He asks you to do adult things, and gives you instructions on how to do them, all while knowing exactly how old you are. That is exactly what happened to some young fans of Austin Jones. When he was around 23 years old, he was known for making a cappella covers of rock and pop songs, where he sang all the parts himself with no instruments. People loved it, and before long, his channel had pulled in over 500,000 subscribers and millions of views. For a while, everything seemed fine. Then in May 2015, things started falling apart. A music website called Pup Fresh published an article filled with screenshots from his private Facebook chats with young female fans. A few days later, an anonymous 15-year-old girl launched a Change.org petition, asking Vans Warped Tour Music Festival to remove him from the lineup. According to the article and petition, Austin first sent the girl a video of himself twerking. Then he asked her to send one back and gave step-by-step instructions on what to wear, how to move, and even what to say in the video. To give you an idea of how specific he got, here's part of what he sent.
Okay, the second move is like bending over and trying to make it bounce. So it's like this.
And this wasn't a one-time thing. After the story blew up, multiple girls came forward through various media outlets and podcasts with nearly identical experiences. It turned out that he'd been running the same routine with different young fans over and over. The backlash and the growing number of victim testimonies crushed Austin's career. So he tried to get ahead of it with a video called Setting the Record Straight, which he uploaded on June 28, 2015. In the video, he said,
I used to ask fans for twerking videos. Yes, twerking the dance move. It's not something that I'm proud of. It's not something that I think is right. And I shouldn't have done it.
But he carefully left out the most important detail. The girls were underage. He spent most of the 16-minute video talking about his traumatic childhood, like his sister's death and his father's addiction. According to him, that's why he...
And I began searching for attention in the wrong ways.
He figured the apology would close the chapter and everyone would move on. He even tried going back to music in 2017. He dropped a short video called I Need Your Help, where he asked fans to follow a new Facebook page and said he had exciting news coming soon. The news never came. Right after Austin posted that teaser, he went completely quiet online and disappeared. Turns out, FBI agents had arrested him at Chicago's O'Hare Airport on 2 counts related to the receipt and participation in the production of child explicit material. The whole thing finally wrapped up in 2019, when he pleaded guilty to receipt of child porn on February 1. A few months later, on May 3, he was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. Miniladd. In June 2020, 2 young women named Haley and Ash posted detailed threads on Twitter. Haley's was titled, I was manipulated by Miniladd. I was 16 to 17. He was 20 plus. And Ash's was, my experience with Miniladd. I was 17. Both threads combined details of how gaming YouTuber Miniladd had been grooming and manipulating the girls while they were still minors. Miniladd, whose real name is Craig Thompson, was a big gaming creator at the time. He made funny videos playing games like Gary's Mod, did reaction content, and collaborated with other YouTubers. At his peak, he had around 5 million subscribers. Then the threads dropped in mid-2020, and his career was essentially game over. Haley explained how Craig used his fame to build trust with her and her friend Ash. He made them feel like they were real friends he genuinely cared about. But then, at some point, things turned flirty and uncomfortable. It started with Craig venting about wanting to get back with his ex. That turned into him talking about getting aroused over his ex, which turned into him making jokes about his own anatomy. And at its worst, he was sending pictures of himself in his underwear to show off. The whole time, he knew both girls were still minors. Because they were young and had crushes on him, they went along with it. They ended up chatting about adult topics and even traded revealing photos with him on Snapchat. Over time, though, both girls started feeling wrong about the whole dynamic. That's when they put everything out on Twitter with screenshots to back it up. Right after the threads blew up, Craig posted on Twitter admitting he'd sent inappropriate messages, took full responsibility, said he was sorry, and announced he was stepping away to get therapy. He said he'd come back when the time felt right. Then he disappeared for a couple of months before randomly uploading a normal gaming video that opened with this short message.
I know I just left all of a sudden, but I needed to do something about me. And I never took time to work on me, and it's been lovely to be able to talk and just let everything out and just breathe.
After that post, he jumped straight back into regular uploads like nothing had happened. It's almost like he thought the internet had the memory of a goldfish. But Haley wasn't about to let things slide. She posted a video of her own, calling him out and saying,
he made himself the victim, when I was the one who was 16 sent bulge pictures. Because he needed a boost of ego, and he gets turned on when a fucking child tells him his dick is big. Shame on you.
Craig responded with 2 apology videos. The first one is called Clearing the Air. In it, he talked about going to therapy every week, but sidestepped most of the actual allegations and denied some of the rumors floating around. As expected, people didn't buy it. The video pulled in over 120,000 dislikes, and a comment section so angry, he probably considered moving to the North Pole to hide. 3 months after that, he dropped another video called My Apology, where he tied his behavior to a previous mental health crisis in 2017. It came across like he was trying to use depression as a get-out-of-jail-free card. Of course, again, his viewers weren't buying it. After those weak apologies, the backlash hit hard. He lost around 160,000 subscribers almost immediately, and hundreds of thousands more over the following years, eventually dropping close to 500K to nearly 1 million total. YouTube cut off his monetization. Sponsors dropped him, his views completely tanked, and he even got permanently banned from Twitch later. Romeo Lacoste. Imagine you're a young teen who's really into tattoos, and there's this one artist online whose work you can't stop looking at. One day you DM him on Twitter, just to say hi and chat about ink, and he actually writes back. At first, it feels exciting because he seems friendly and easy to talk to. Then, over a few messages, things start feeling weird. The replies get flirty in a way that makes no sense from a grown man talking to a kid. That artist was Romeo Lacoste. He was a massive name in the tattoo world. He'd inked stars like Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, and Kendrick Lamar. Worked with a ton of YouTube and TikTok creators. Starred on the reality show Best Ink Season 3, appeared in magazines, and became the go-to guy for trendy tattoos. Around 2016, he was blowing up, and young fans kept reaching out on Twitter to talk about his work or just say they were fans. He was active in his DMs and usually replied, so chatting with him felt normal. That's how two teenage girls, one 14 and one 15, first started talking to him. As time went by, both of them noticed the same thing. The conversations gradually got creepier and more flirtatious. And before long, he was steering things toward adult topics or making roleplay comments no grown man should be making to teenagers. The two girls got so weirded out that they started comparing messages and realized he was using the exact same approach on both of them. So they decided to test how far he'd actually go. They made fake accounts pretending to be almost 18 and waited to see what happened next. Now, whether or not that was the right approach is up for debate, but he took the bait faster than a seagull at a beach picnic. The girls had set up a group chat called Romeo's Fruit Cups, and that's where he really showed his true colors. In the group, he sent flirty messages along with photos of himself grabbing his crotch. He talked about getting them drunk and doing things to them. At one point, he straight up asked one of the girls whether she wanted to do it right then, or wait until she turned 18. That's the kind of question that'll put you in an orange jumpsuit quicker than you can say PDF file. When those screenshots hit the internet in March 2019, Romeo panicked and deleted his Twitter trying to erase the evidence. After that, he did a long interview with Keemstar on Drama Alert, where he dodged most of the questions, admitted some messages were real, but claimed others had been faked or edited, and kept insisting he didn't know their real ages, even though the proof said otherwise. After the backlash died down, he went quiet for a few years. But as of 2026, he's back posting on TikTok and YouTube, collaborating with young creators who probably weren't paying attention to the news cycle in 2019. Nothing says fresh start like returning to the same space where you were already a problem once. Tier 3. David Dobrik. In November 2018, a 20-year-old college student named Hannah and a few of her friends got invited to film a group video with members of the Vlog Squad, a popular YouTube crew run by a creator named David Dobrik. Hannah and her friends figured they'd just be hanging out and appearing as extras in a video at one of the guys' apartments in Los Angeles. They had no idea the video was supposed to be about Dirty Dom, one of the guys, trying to have a big group thing with multiple girls on camera. The evening started out pretty chill at first. Everyone was laughing, drinking, and hanging out, while the Vlog Squad kept bringing over more shots. What Hannah didn't realize was that the drinks were being pushed toward her and her friends far more than anyone else there. As the night went on, things started getting blurry for her. She became so drunk that she could barely stand or think straight anymore. That's when Dom led her and two other girls into his bedroom, while the rest of the group hung outside the door, joking and laughing about what was happening inside. Hannah later said she was so out of it that she couldn't clearly remember consenting to anything, or even what exactly took place in that room. To understand how something this bad could happen with cameras rolling, you have to know how the Vlog Squad actually operated. David Dobrik built a YouTube empire on chaos. Surprise car giveaways, wild pranks, group vlogs at his LA house. All of it designed to be as loud and unpredictable as possible. Millions of subscribers ate it up. But inside the group, there was an unspoken deal. You do whatever makes good content or you're out. No one really cared who got hurt in the process. Seth Francois, the only black guy in the squad, found that out the hard way. Back in 2017, David blindfolded him and told him a girl was about to kiss him. Then they had another guy in the group do it instead, while Seth had no clue. Everyone laughed and the video got millions of views. Seth wasn't laughing though. He later said the whole thing felt like assault, and it seriously messed with his head. That prank stayed up for years before people started questioning it. But the biggest fallout came from what happened to Hannah. She stayed quiet about it until March 2021, when Business Insider published a detailed story with her full account. That's when the whole thing exploded. The backlash was immediate. Major sponsors like DoorDash and HelloFresh dropped David immediately, and YouTube pulled his monetization. Like clockwork, he put out an apology video.
And I want to apologize to her and her friends for ever putting them in an environment that I enabled that made them feel like their safety and values were compromised. I'm so sorry.
He also announced he was cutting ties with Dirty Dom, but the apology didn't really slow anything down. In 2022, his former friend Jeff Wittick filed a $10 million lawsuit against him. The case goes back to a 2020 stunt video, where David was operating an excavator while swinging Jeff on a rope over a shallow lake. At one point, he sped up, then came to a sudden stop. Jeff lost control, hit the ground hard, and suffered a cracked skull along with permanent eye damage. David stayed mostly off YouTube for years after all of that. Then in 2025, he came back with daily videos and car giveaways like none of it ever happened. The lawsuits are still ongoing, and a lot of his audience looks at him very differently now. Shadman. Imagine you're the parent of 12-year-old Daphne Keene. Your daughter just became famous playing X-23 in the Wolverine movie Logan. And then one day, you open social media and find out an artist named Shadman has posted extremely graphic and explicit drawings of your child in adult situations on his website, using her real face and her character from the film. Your stomach drops. You get lawyers involved immediately. They fire off a cease and desist, and they get his entire site Shadbase shut down to stop the images from spreading further. Shadman, real name Shadai Pridjan, was a controversial artist who got expelled from art school in Zurich after staff discovered his portfolio. They called the work highly illegal, labeled him a menace to society, and kicked him out on the spot. He didn't go down the classic failed painter to dictator pipeline, but what he ended up doing wasn't exactly much better. He leaned even harder into his art style online, and somehow that actually helped him build a massive following. At his peak, he had over 700,000 followers on Twitter, over 300,000 on Facebook, and over 300,000 YouTube subscribers. Most of his art was cartoon characters drawn in ways you'd never show at a family gathering. His work regularly featured bestiality and objectifying minors. He also drew real-life public figures in explicit poses, including Ivanka Trump and Hillary Clinton. If he'd kept all of it within adult art circles, it would have been deeply disturbing, but probably wouldn't have broken any major laws. But he crossed a clear line when he started making explicit drawings based on real children, like Daphne Keene. He also made suggestive drawings of the 7-year-old daughter of Keemstar, the YouTuber known for running the Drama Alert channel. Even though those particular drawings weren't fully nude, they set off a firestorm of anger. And then there was the report that he drew explicit pictures of his own mother on Mother's Day. He later said he'd regretted it, though how much anyone actually believes that is another question entirely. Despite all the online controversy, Shadman never really faced serious consequences from the internet. What actually brought him down was a real-world crime that had nothing to do with his art. In October 2021, he was arrested in Los Angeles of 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon after getting into a fight in the Glendale Arena. The details about what weapon was used or how the fight started were never made fully clear, but the charges were serious enough that bail was set at $50,000. He got out on bail, and there haven't been clear public updates on any final court outcomes since then. As of 2026, he occasionally surfaces on X under @Shadbase to post new drawings and random comments about his life, but nobody really knows where he is or what he's doing. Most people assume he's still somewhere in LA. Onision. You're Sarah, a 14-year-old girl going through a rough time at home. You've been watching this YouTuber named Onision for years, and his videos make you feel a little less alone. Then one day, his partner Kai starts messaging you. He tells you you're special, and slowly turns the conversations into something that feels like a real friendship. For a kid who doesn't have much support at home, that kind of attention is everything. That's exactly what they were counting on. Onision, real name Gregory James Daniel, started making videos before YouTube was even big, but he didn't get popular until 2009, when a goofy clip called The Banana Song went viral. After that, everything he uploaded pulled in millions of views. He launched more channels, vlogged about his personal life, and racked up over 350 million total views. Then his content took a turn. He created a series where fans submitted photos of themselves and he rated how attractive they were on camera. A lot of the people sending in photos were underage, but that didn't seem to bother him. He'd tear some girls apart over their weight or their teeth, and then make comments about others that nobody wanted to hear from a grown man, like saying he hoped they'd stay attractive when they got older. Sarah found his videos as a kid and started talking to both Onision and Kai online around age 13. Over the next 2 years, the messages went from fan interaction to personal to flirty to intimate. By the time she was 15 in 2016, they suggested she move into their house in Washington to get away from her home situation. Her mom agreed and signed legal guardianship over to Kai. On camera, Sarah appeared in their video as a family friend. Off camera, Onision and Kai touched her without consent. And the day she turned 18, they pressured her into a physical relationship. She got out at 19 and went public through an interview with YouTuber Blair White.
Having to watch him say, like, oh, we don't even hug Sarah, we don't even do this or that, and it's like, I'm sitting there like 16 watching this, and I'm just like, but yes, you do. Like,
Kai denied everything. What he and Onision didn't count on was that Sarah's story would open the door for more testimonies. Other women came forward, saying the pair had groomed and manipulated them in almost exactly the same way. One of them was Shyla, a Canadian singer. She described Onision talking to her on Skype every day when she was 17, driving out to meet her, then isolating her from her family until the relationship turned abusive. At one point, she had a seizure when they were together. Instead of calling for help, he grabbed a camera, filmed her while she was disoriented, and uploaded it for views. After those stories came out, things fell apart for Onision. Patreon banned him, Twitch followed, and YouTube demonetized every channel he owned. These days, he mostly uploads low-effort AI videos and keeps attempting awkward TikTok comebacks that barely anyone watches. As of early 2026, he's still dealing with civil lawsuits from at least 2 of the girls who accused him of grooming and mistreating them when they were minors. Jinbop. Imagine it's early 2016, and you're the parents of a 15-year-old girl in Minnesota. Your daughter is constantly glued to Skype, chatting with this YouTuber named Jinbop that she's obsessed with. At first you think it's harmless, but you couldn't be further from the truth. Jinbop, real name Starlet Zhao, was a popular gaming creator at the time. He mostly played Minecraft and other games and had grown his channel to around 100,000 subscribers by 2015. He came across as a wholesome guy making fun videos for kids and teens. So at first, you didn't think much of your daughter chatting with him online. Then her behavior starts changing. She starts wearing a locket with his picture inside it, starts buying fancy underwear, and keeps disappearing for long private phone calls. Eventually, you get worried enough that you decide to listen in on one of their calls. What you hear makes your blood run cold. This 23-year-old man is grooming your daughter. He's telling her to undress on camera, giving her detailed instructions on what to do, and asking for photos. And the whole time, he knows exactly how old she is. And then he starts making real plans to fly out and meet her in person. That's when you contact the authorities. The FBI begins monitoring his conversations and travel plans. So when he buys a plane ticket and shows up at Detroit Metro Airport in August 2016, the agents are already waiting. They arrested him right there at the gate. The charges include enticing a minor into illegal activity and possession of child exploitation material. Right after the arrest, YouTube deleted his entire channel and wiped every video. He pleaded guilty to the charges in May 2017. He got sentenced to 15 months in federal prison, but later reports show he actually received a longer term and ended up serving time until he was released early in June 2022 for good behavior. After getting out, he had to register as an offender and serve several years of supervised release. He tried to make a quiet comeback on social media after that, but it never really took off. As of 2026, he keeps an extremely low profile with almost no online presence. Tier 4. The Budday. Imagine it's late 2018 and you're scrolling through TikTok. You see a bunch of young girls doing dance challenges, pretty standard stuff. But then there's this older looking guy called the Budday duetting their videos, reacting to their moves on his side of the split screen with suggestive gestures and creepy facial expressions. It already looks wrong, but the real scandal went much deeper than bad duets. The Budday, real name Buddy Haynes, was one of the early big names on TikTok right after the app switched from Musical.ly. His bio said 26, but his face said something else entirely. He blew up to hundreds of thousands of followers, posting cringy lip syncs and goofy outfits that people treated like a meme. When people started pointing out how creepy and predatory the duets looked, he doubled down, saying,
"And react to my videos trying to down me? You're just making it worse for you. So, do yourself a favor, block me, because I will continue to do duets with my fans that love me, and I will continue to do videos from my house where I live with my parents who love and support me, and I support them."
That just made things worse. People started digging for his personal information, and he posted another video threatening to go to the police over it. Given what he was doing behind the scenes, it makes sense why he wanted to stay anonymous, because the second someone connected his real identity to his account, everything was going to come apart. The person who made that happen was a TikToker named Bithoji, and there was a bunch of evidence to go with her claims. Chat logs showed him trying to start a relationship with a 14-year-old, sending graphic messages and guilt-tripping victims by playing the sad, miserable guy to keep them talking. When texting was no longer enough, Buddy started asking his victims for real-life meetups. When the screenshots leaked, Buddy reached for the oldest excuse on the internet. He claimed Bithoji had hacked his account and framed him. Somehow, he thought everyone would believe some stranger broke into his account just to send creepy messages to minors for fun. That explanation went about as well as you'd expect. After the backlash got worse, he locked his comments, disappeared behind a private account for a while, then resurfaced on Snapchat with a clarification video. He claimed the girls had requested the duets and that he'd been investigated and cleared by the FBI. After that, he went right back to posting like nothing happened. And then, because some people are physically incapable of learning from their own mistakes, he started sending underage girls the same kind of creepy messages all over again. Once the allegations started piling up again, people started running sting operations to catch him. A YouTuber named Activist Plug created fake profiles posing as underage girls, and Buddy fell for it twice. He sent the same kind of messages and even agreed to meet up at the park. When activists posted the sting videos, they went viral fast and sealed Buddy's reputation as one of TikTok's creepiest early users. After that, he tried to sneak back online with new accounts on SoundCloud and Twitch, but his name was already in the mud, and the platforms eventually deleted his accounts. There are rumors going around that the FBI got involved or that he ended up in jail, but none of it was ever publicly confirmed. EDP 445. Even if you've never watched a single one of his videos, chances are you've seen this guy before. His name is Bryant Moreland, but online he went by EDP 445, and he was one of the internet's most infamous meme machines. At his peak, he had over 1 million subscribers on his main channel. People followed him for his unhinged rants about the Philadelphia Eagles, his chaotic food reviews, and his over-the-top angry personality. He was loud, he was funny, and he had absolutely zero filter. That last part turned out to be the problem. In July 2020, leaked Instagram chats showed Bryant requesting explicit photos from a 15-year-old girl who had only contacted him to ask for a birthday shout-out for her boyfriend. When the boyfriend confronted him about it, Bryant said he didn't care about her age and that she could have been even younger. The chats went viral, and Bryant scrambled to do damage control with a video called These Accusations. In it, he brushed the whole thing off as jokes, spicy conversation, and a messed up sense of humor. A decent chunk of his fan base actually bought it, but smaller creators like Cold Raven and Black Bigelow didn't. They set up sting accounts and used them to catch him following and texting multiple underage girls. On top of that, they proved he'd been lying about not knowing the girls' ages the entire time.
Been following multiple underage girls on Instagram, with their ages ranging from 15 to 17.
Oh, 5 underage girls. Why'd you fall for this decoy account? Why'd you fall for it? That's you, right? Let's click on your name. Oh, you have me blocked. You are a sick-ass motherfucker. The exact same messages I showed y'all yesterday, just the decoy.
And they got the whole thing on video. As that video picked up steam, more people decided to try catching him themselves. Which brings us to April 2021, when a group called Predator Poachers, led by an internet vigilante named Alex Rosin, set up what became known as the Cupcake Incident. Razin had been running the operation for months. He'd created a fake Instagram account posing as a 13-year-old girl named Sophie. And over that time, he drew Bryant into increasingly explicit conversations. Bryant was exchanging graphic content, describing adult acts in detail. And at one point, he actually admitted to the fake account that he knew what he was doing was wrong and illegal. He said that if they got caught, he'd lose his YouTube channel, his reputation, and probably end up in prison. He acknowledged all of that. And then, because self-awareness and self-control are apparently two completely different skills, he kept going. On April 20th, 2021, they arranged to meet up in person. When Bryant showed up, there was no 13-year-old girl waiting for him, just Alex Razin with a camera. When Razin asked him what he was doing there, Bryant gave the excuse that made the whole thing go viral. After the video blew up, YouTube banned his main channel and every backup he had. Even after he was caught on camera, Bryant still tried to flip the script and paint the predator poachers as the bad guys. That went over about as well as you'd expect. The internet went scorched earth on him. People mass reported every account he had left and got him pulled from Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere else he tried to post. After his online career was destroyed, he tried real-life jobs. He drove for Lyft and Uber, and even picked up shifts at McDonald's. But people kept recognizing him and reporting him until he got fired from every single job. By the end of it, he was broke, selling off his belongings, living out of motels, and even trying to legally change his name so people would stop recognizing him. That plan didn't really work out though, because, well, the name isn't the problem. Zazef. If you were on YouTube in the late 2010s, you might have come across a guy called Zazef. He was this awkward, sad creator who made vlogs about how he couldn't get a girlfriend, filmed himself asking random girls on the street to date him, and talked endlessly about how lonely and depressed he was. People thought he was harmless, kind of pathetic, kind of funny, and maybe a little creepy, but mostly just sad. That image got even stronger after he uploaded a video where he excitedly announced he got hugged by a girl, only for it to turn out to be his cousin. His real name was Alexander Rudenko, and in May 2018, police set up a sting operation after getting an anonymous tip about him. An undercover officer posed as a 13-year-old girl online, and Rudenko took the bait immediately. He sent her explicit messages for days, begged for inappropriate photos, told her that her age made it more exciting, and then arranged to meet her in a park while bragging that he was bringing rubber and lubricant. When he showed up, the cops were waiting. And just like EDP with his cupcake, Rudenko told the officers he was just there to pick something up. They arrested him on the spot. He pleaded no contest, spent 364 days in jail, got probation, and had to register as an offender. Now, most people would take a year in jail and the spot on the registry as a sign to rethink their life choices. Rudenko took it as a warm-up. After getting out, he moved back into his mom's apartment in Sacramento and kept quiet for a while. Then in August 2022, deputies showed up at his door again. He was 26 and still a registered offender. And this time, he was facing 5 charges involving the alleged assault of 2 underage girls, one 13 and one 17. Detectives said he'd been creating fake profiles to contact minors and had a pattern of hanging around parks, recreation centers, and movie theaters looking for victims. Despite all of that, he posted $135,000 bail and walked out the next day. Families in the area were not happy about that. And then he did it again. In June 2023, while still out on bail from the second arrest, police picked him up a third time after finding child exploitation material on his devices. That shattered every bail condition he had, and this time there was no walking out. He's been locked up since with no new bond. In his case, the third time wasn't the charm. It was a dead end. Court dates have been pushed back multiple times because doctors have questioned whether he's even mentally competent to stand trial. He's pleaded not guilty to everything, and from his jail cell, he actually recorded a message claiming the whole thing was just a big misunderstanding. 3 arrests, a registry listing, and a jail cell, and his defense is still, "You've got it all wrong." As of early 2026, he's still in custody, waiting for the cases to play out. Tier 5. LionMaker. Imagine it's 2014, and you're a kid who loves Minecraft. You find this creator called LionMaker who's got great energy, does funny challenges, and makes the game feel like the best hangout spot on the internet. His channel goes from 30,000 to over 500,000 subscribers in a single year, and his audience is almost entirely kids and teenagers who trust him completely. You already know where this is going. The first sign of trouble came in September 2015, when Keemstar uploaded a video titled LionMaker Asks Minecraft Kid for Nudes. In it, a mom named Susie Wiseman explained that this 26-year-old man, whose name is Marcus Wilton, had been messaging her 13-year-old daughter on Twitter and asking for explicit photos, while fully aware of how old she was. When confronted, LionMaker claimed his computer had been hacked at the exact moment those messages were sent. According to him, the mysterious cyber criminal broke in, messaged minors, and then conveniently disappeared without touching anything else. Most people didn't buy it, but the story faded for a few months. Then December 2015 hit, and everything came out all at once. A 15-year-old boy called I'm Henry HD dropped chat logs, showing LionMaker had been pushing him into adult activity online. Right behind him, another 15-year-old named Steven Chinks posted screenshots where LionMaker offered him $500 over PayPal to send spicy photos on Skype. Steven showed the actual PayPal transaction in the video. The new allegations proved that LionMaker wasn't just targeting girls. He was going after boys too, and he was leaving financial records of his own crimes while doing it. But none of that was even the worst part. Around the same time, it came out that he had been in a full physical relationship with a younger Minecraft creator he collaborated with regularly called Paige the Panda. She was 14 or 15 when it started. He was 26. At this point, you'd expect that he'd follow the PDF file handbook and go quiet, and maybe call a lawyer. But he did the exact opposite. He went on his own Twitter, confirmed the relationship with Paige himself, and then posted one of her private pictures for everyone to see. He took the evidence people were looking for and handed it to them gift wrapped. Paige, the actual victim, ended up having to publicly apologize to her own family because the man who abused her was the one spreading her images. When the internet came for him after that, he didn't apologize or go quiet. He started threatening to sue anyone who talked about it. Threatening people with slander lawsuits when you confirmed the whole thing on your own Twitter is a pretty bold move. The strangest part of the whole thing is that even through all of this, his channel kept growing because the controversy kept bringing new eyes to the page. It peaked near 800,000 subscribers before things cooled down. Belgian police finally arrested him in December 2016, and he spent about 10 months in custody. Paige took him to court over the abuse and the leaked photos. He pleaded guilty and received a conditional sentence, meaning if he slipped up again before 2023, he'd be doing 4 years behind bars. His main channel was deleted in early 2018. He tried starting fresh in 2019, but it went nowhere. The videos just sit there under piles of dislikes from people with long-term memories. Zain ul Abideen Rasheed. Between 2019 and 2020, a 29-year-old man in Perth, Australia, created a fake online identity. He posed as a 15-year-old American YouTuber, complete with photos, a believable backstory, and the kind of casual, friendly chatting style that would make any teenager think they were talking to someone their own age. Over the next 11 months, he used that identity to contact girls on social media across 20 different countries. 286 of them fell for it. About 2/3 were under 16. His name was Zain ul Abideen Rasheed, and what he did to those girls earned him the title of the world's worst extortionist. The playbook was always the same. He'd start with normal conversation, build trust over days or weeks, and then gently push the chat toward private topics until the girl sent him something she shouldn't have. The second he had that, the friendly kid vanished. In his place was a man who threatened to send everything to her parents, her school, and her friends unless she kept going. And his demands didn't stop at photos. They escalated into things that are genuinely hard to put into words. He coerced girls into performing acts on camera involving pets and younger children in the household. He put countdown timers on screens, showing them exactly how many minutes they had before he leaked their images. And sometimes he live streamed the whole thing to rooms of nearly 100 men. When the girls broke down and cried on camera, he didn't stop. When they told him they wanted to do things to themselves, he didn't stop. When they sent him proof that they were already doing it, he still didn't stop. He just kept pushing for more. Now, if you thought Rasheed was sitting in some apartment running this operation in private, you'd be sorely mistaken. He was in prison. already serving a 5-year sentence for physically assaulting a 14-year-old girl in his car at a Perth park twice. Somehow, that tiny detail didn't stop him from running a global extortion network targeting hundreds of children across 20 countries. When Australian federal police finally built the full case with help from Interpol and US investigators, the numbers were unlike anything they'd seen before. In December 2023, Rasheed pleaded guilty to 119 charges that covered 665 separate offenses. On August 27, 2024, Judge Amanda Burrows in the Perth District Court sentenced him to 17 years with no parole until August 2033. Last year, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received over 20 million reports of online child exploitation. 1 in 3 minors has had an unwanted interaction online. These people are everywhere, and most of them will never end up on an iceberg. If you or someone you know needs help, reach out to RAIN at rain.org. Stay safe out there. And if you enjoyed this iceberg, hit like and subscribe for more deep dives.